family money, this a triple threat. Really started with nothing, had to manifest. If you don't know your worth, they gon' give you less. Why they envy me? Cause I'm the best. MVP. My legacy is how they remember me. And I know success brings your enemies. That's why I keep the...
Welcome back to another episode of the Triple Threat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Vic Gurley, aka MVP Vic.
It's Chris Bruce, aka Detroit Mogul.
Brian Keys, aka BK609.
And today we got a special guest, a guest that has many hustles. Friend of mine, actually, Mr. Kevin Jennings.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Jennings, tell the world who is Kevin Jennings? What do you do? What do you stand for? Who are you as a person?
Yeah, I'm that's a tough one. Who am I? Man, I'm just a hustler from the core. You know, born in Miami, raised there till I was 15. Went to Atlanta, raised there, so got the best of both hustles from big cities, and all I do is just try to provide for my family the best I can. You know, general contractor, underground contractor, and real estate developer. That's me.
Okay. Now, underground construction.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of people don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
Give us a rundown. What exactly is underground construction?
So the crazy thing is, when I got into it, neither did I really, right?
Mm.
But when I explain it to you, it's like a light bulb going to go off and you be like, I get it. So essentially, I'm a Florida state certified underground utility and excavation contractor.
Mm-hmm.
I specialize in rehabilitation of water systems, primarily sanitary sewer, stormwater, and drinking water, right? Now that's the technical term. The easiest way to think about it is I'm the city's plumber. All right? So look at it like this. In this house, when you have a backup, you call a plumber, he comes, he cleans your lines, he gets it back flowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the plumber's responsibility stops at the sidewalk. But your sewage doesn't stop at the sidewalk. It goes from the sidewalk to the street, from the street to a plant, wherever it's then done with whatever the city does to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the city has a problem, they call me, and then I fix their problems. It's a trade that, and it's a skill set that's been around for a while, but most cities used to have people in-house to do it. They used to have workers do it, but just like everything, they don't have people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So now they hire contractors like us to do all of that work for them. So the easiest way I explain, like I tell people, I'm the city's plumber. So when the city has a sewer backup, they call me. When they have a water main break, they call me. When there's stormwater issues and the streets are flooding, when it rains a lot, they call me. So that's the easiest way to think about it. And depending on where people are from, the issues that always come about, street flooding is a big one. So in most major cities, when it rains, especially here in Florida, it floods. And that's because their stormwater systems are bad. You see a lot of times water main breaks and you'll see water spraying out the street. That happens a lot because the systems are old. For the people from up north or the Midwest, you think about Flint, Michigan, and the lead pipes with
I
the
was just
water.
about to ask you about Flint. Did they call you for Flint, man?
No, I've got calls for it, but not particularly for Flint. So right now they have the same issue in DC.
Okay.
So DC is the hot area right now with lead pipes. And basically what happens is, like, just like anything, things, cycle out. So lead was used in the 50s, 60s, and that's what it was. Well, then all of a sudden they realized, okay, lead kills you, but they didn't realize it till the 90s. But the lead pipes have been in the system for 40 years.
Wow.
And so then by the time they realize not only does it kill you, but now it's having issues, the pipes are corroding, they're doing all these things. So now it's, we got to rip them all out. But the same thing's happening with stormwater pipes. They got asbestos concrete pipes. So they tell you can't put asbestos in, but they got asbestos in the ground. So we take out asbestos concrete and stormwater. Sanitary sewer, there's clay pipes. And I mean, that was one of the things, like, why would you put clay in the ground? Clay is mud. And all they did was heat it up, and then they made it into a pipe, put it in the ground. Well, it's in Florida. There's water in the ground. What does that happen? It turns back to mud. Like, it's just, I don't. So that's essentially what we do in underground construction.
And you said that before, we aired. You say you were the only, or one of the only African Americans. That's amazing, man. Because I've never heard anybody besides you in this industry. You know what I'm saying?
In the United States, I'd say nationwide, I'm one of about 10. Here in the state of Florida, I'm the only one here in the state of Florida. In Miami-Dade County, where I started my business at the time in 2015, I was one of 10 small and minority. The other small and minority companies that were around were either Hispanic or women-owned. But I was the only African-American at the time. And then at that, through that, I tried to do like most people as things would change, I tried to bring other people in that look like us to try to get them in. But a lot of people just can't see the vision because it's not cute work. It's not sexy.
Right.
Like, you're not finna go to the club and tell the girl, like, what you doing? Be like, oh, I'm playing poop all day. Yeah, it's not. It's not. So it just doesn't. Yeah. So a lot of brothers I introduced to it, they were like, yeah, nah, I'm good, bro.
They don't want to play in that poop.
Yeah, I appreciate it, my brother, but I'm good. So.
I mean, don't you get compensated well for playing the poop?
No, you definitely. So the downside, but the good side financially is that they don't call me till it's a problem. The problem with our business, especially working on the municipal side, like I said, I do a lot of city work, right? And county work. The problem is because you can't see what I do, nobody cares about it. You know what I'm saying? So when it's a problem or something happens, then it's, oh, you got to come right now. So it's bad from a business standpoint because like right now, I'm over in City of Largo because it's like, oh, you got to come do this stuff right now because we got to have it done by October. It's like October's tomorrow. So it's like, it's one of those things. But yeah, they do compensate you well for it. Yeah, so I definitely don't complain.
At what point in life did you decide that you wanted to get into this?
To what part? The underground construction?
Or construction, period. Like, when did you know that?
So it's crazy. So I went to FAMU, right? And I was in business school. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is in my blood, right? So my parents, my grandparents, nobody had a job. Everybody was like, my granddad on my mom's side, he had a lawn business. My granddad on my dad's side, he was a dentist in Jamaica. Then when he came to America, they wouldn't let him still be a dentist. So he had a dental technician lab. So all I ever knew was work for yourself, right? So I go to FAM and I say, because I'm gonna be the first one in my family to get a degree. I'm gonna get a real job. I'm gonna wear a suit and tie every day. I'm gonna make everybody proud, right? I go to FAM, but the hustling was just in me. So I get up there and I start throwing parties first. And I'm making my little money throwing parties. And I started a promotion company, put together street teams. So I'm doing all that stuff. And I'm making money while I'm in school. So one day, I'm in financial accounting. I'll never forget it. And I had just threw a party the night before at the Moon. So we had reconciled that morning before I went to class. We reconciled books from the night before. So I know how to do all that. So I get in financial accounting, and this dude showing the stuff on the screen and say, "Oh, this how you do this?" I was like, "Nah, man. No disrespect, sir, but I think you might have missed a step." And he's like, it goes off on me, right? I had to go see the dean. So I go see the dean, and she says, "Mr. Jennings, this ain't for you. You'll never make it in business because you don't understand how this whole thing works." So she kicked me out of business school.
Wow.
Right? I said, man, so I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? So then my dad was in construction and engineering. So I said, well, I'm just gonna do engineering. And I know I get my, engineering degree, I'll go work for him. Got in engineering, but it was more the same stuff. Like I just couldn't do it. So I just got out of school, started working for him. And then when I got out in the field and started doing construction, I just loved it. And I was like, this is for me. Like I love creating with my hands, almost like an artist,
Right.
So, I just love the creation process.
What's up, man?
I stuck with it.
So then, I mean, you said you transitioned into real estate, which naturally that makes sense. So tell me about, take us back like that first deal that you did.
Man,
Remember? I know you got to remember that first
I remember
one,
the first deal like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
The address was 999 Northwest 95th Street in Miami. Like I remember that. So how I got into real estate was crazy. So I was working in construction. It was like 2004. I'm working in construction, and I never forget, man, you go to the lunch truck and all the dudes around there talking about, man, I just flipped this out. I made $75,000 last week. Oh, everybody talking. I'm like, man, that's just crazy. So I'm like, what y'all talking about? But I'm 23 years old, so they're like, hey, man, just stay over there, man. Just go get the sandwich. So I'm trying to see. I'm here hustling, right? And so I'm like, what's going on? So then they're telling me, and all the guys on the construction site, what they were doing was they was getting together, right? Because they all had skills. So you might have one guy was a concrete guy, another guy was an electrician, another guy a plumber, you might have a drywall guy, and they'll get together, they'll pool their money together, and they was getting houses and they was flipping houses. And that was the hot thing on the job site. So then I got with some of my boys, and I was like, man, these dudes over here, they doing this. We could do this. So we had the same little crew. Like I knew how to do drywall and paint, stuff like that. I had another homeboy of mine, he was real good with electrical work. Another guy was good with plumbing work. And then we had one of our partners that he didn't really know none of that, but he was a correction officer. So he had a good job and all that. So we put together a little company between us, and we said we was gonna start flipping houses. And our first deal was this was back when you could still get HUD houses.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So we went on and we bid on the HUD auction, and we lost probably 40 grand. it was a beautiful experience. It was we know what we was doing.
Right,
we was just excited, you know. But it was cool. We did that deal. It didn't go out as planned, but we were like, man, we got to do it. And we just did another one.
So what year was this?
This was 04.
Because I want to give it context to people that's watching. So 04 was that time where it felt like anybody with a pulse could get a loan.
Yeah, it was nothing to do. It didn't matter. And that's what made it crazy. And that's why, like I said, we set it up. We had our one friend who was a correction officer. So he had bank statements, he had W-2s, he had all this. So he was just going, you were getting loans. Back then, they were doing 110% financing, 115% finance. Like you didn't need, it was crazy.
Yeah.
You was going to the closing table and you was getting a check. So it was like you would lose on a deal, but you really didn't lose on a deal because they done gave you the money already.
Oh man,
it was a crazy time. It was a good thing and it was a bad thing. It was a good thing for me because I'm an optimist. So I look at the good in every situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like we take a loss, I'm still gonna say, okay, this is why we lost. This is what we got to do. You know, some other homeboys, man, I ain't doing this no more. Like I can't do this.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. And then I'm the type too that I don't like nobody. I feel like knowing more than me in the situation. Mm-hmm. So when I got into real estate, I was like, I knew construction, but I didn't know none of that stuff. So I went and I got every license. Like from 04 to 06, I got every license in the state of Florida.
Dang.
I had my mortgage broker license. I had my real estate sales associate license. I had my appraisal license, and I was taking the test to get my broker license. I was like, I'm gonna do a deal, and you're not gonna tell me some okey doke and try to, because that's what happened on the first deal. Right. We had people selling us the okey doke because it was easy money. It was kind of like how it is now in real estate, but it was different because, like you say, anybody could get a house.
Yeah. I mean, I bought my first house 2006 in Detroit, on the east side of Detroit, Michigan, and $99,000 loan, and no docs.
Yeah.
I'm working at freaking GM doing data entry at $12 an hour, and I got a $99,000 mortgage handed to me. Pulled $9,000 out the escrow. I never had $9,000 in my life. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was good. I was going to Club Sky, buying bottles every weekend and everything else and shit. And it was crazy. But then let's talk about what happened after, though.
That was crazy. So then, I mean, it was crazy. That was probably the best 3 years of my life. Like 04 to 07 was amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because as a kid, old people always tell you, better save money. I'm telling you, ain't going. Yeah, man, whatever, man. You know what you're talking about. On now. And all people, hey. And man, when 2008 hit, it was crazy. Like everything stopped. And then for so many people, that was the first time that they had ever seen something like that. So nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I kind of liken it to what's going on now with like COVID.
Right.
Like now that nobody knows everybody's kind of playing it by ear. That's how it was in 2008. Like nobody knew what was going on. And you would be in the middle of a deal, 30 days into a deal, and the bank would go bankrupt.
Yep.
And your whole deal would just fall apart. And then the bank who was doing your financing will go out of business. Then you may have money in escrow with somebody, and that company goes bankrupt. And then you're like, well, where my money at? And then it was just like, and then actual financial institutions like FDIC insured institutions, because that was always the thing was, hey, get with a local, credit union or something, and they could get you loans easier. They was going out of business. So you would have $100,000 in the bank, and you go to the bank, and the bank is closed.
Got it.
And you're like, what my money? Like, and can't nobody tell you anything.
Wow.
It was a bloodbath in the streets,
man. 2008, 2009, it was crazy. That was the time that for me, honestly, that was, I talk about like pendulum swings and things changing. That was 2008, 2009 is when my life changed. Cause that gave me the opportunity to kind of look at things and be like, all right, what am I going to do? Like what's really going on? Like what path am I going to take? Cause that was crazy. Like you see, it was millionaires like jumping off of buildings, like literally jumping off of buildings.
It was ridiculous.
It was crazy. It was a crazy time, but it was a good time. Like,
so how do you recover from that? Like, of course, it was crazy times. It was a bunch. You got people killing themselves. You got people walking away from their homes. Yeah. How do you recover from that?
Where was you at mentally too?
Mentally, I was bad. I was down bad. Like mentally, because I didn't know nothing, and I was a kid. Like it's easy to say now, almost 40 years old, but like I was 25, 26 years old. I had millions of dollars. I had at the time, by 2008, I probably had about 25 properties throughout the Southeast between Atlanta, Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. I had millions of dollars in the bank. I was bringing in probably $30,000, $40,000 a month just in rental income from all of the properties. You know what I'm saying?
At 25?
Listen, my brother. And then it was just so like mentally to lose it. And it's like your parents can't even tell you, like, my parents couldn't tell me what to do. They didn't, like, they're looking at me like, son, I don't know what to tell you. You got to figure it out. Because we've never done what you just did. So I don't know what to tell you. I lost literally almost all my friends because it was like, it's sad, but people always think money brings you happiness, so everybody searches for money. But it's like, you got to be happy before you get money. Yeah. All money does is magnify whatever person you are. Right. If you're an asshole, you're just gonna be a super asshole. Right. If you're a generous person, you're gonna be super generous. Yeah. So it's like I had a lot of people around me that was making money, everybody was happy. But when the money stopped, it was like, what's going on? Like people would change. So that hurt the most was like people flipping on you. So then you get that sense of like a loneliness and abandonment. That's why, like I was saying before we aired, like I literally, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, I never forget, we were sitting at Red Lobster on a date. That was our date. I had to take her to Red Lobster. It was no boo before that. We was on cheddar biscuits in 09. So we sitting there and I said, I gotta get out of Miami. And we had only been dating like a year maybe. I'm like, I gotta go. And she's like, well, what you mean? I'm like, look, I'm finna go to Charlotte. You can come if you want to, but I ain't coming back. Right? So she looked at me, she was like, all right, fuck it, let's go. I ain't think she was gonna say it. And my man, look, it was crazy. I hopped in, one of my homeboys, he owned a mortgage company, and me and him used to do a lot of stuff. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna open up a mortgage company. You come there, we start flipping, we can figure this whole thing out. So I'm cool. So we hopped in his Jetta. Me, her, him, and another one of his homeboys. All we had was duffel bags in the trunk and went to Charlotte. Wow. I had a 2004 Range Rover. That was my daily. I had put it in the shop before that to get brakes. I left it in the shop. I ain't want nothing. I left all my houses. I didn't want nothing. I had about $30,000 in cash, that and a duffel bag with clothes, and drove to Charlotte, North Carolina. Wow. And we got an apartment. We would just sit in there, sleep on an air mattress, no furniture, no nothing. And I was just trying to figure it out. But all I knew was how to hustle, how to do real estate. And what brought me to Charlotte at the time was it was a metropolitan city and it had a lot of industry. So like the banking industry is based in Charlotte. So like Bank of America has their headquarters there. It's a lot going there on the low. NASCAR is there, but the outside and the outskirts of Charlotte, you can still get good property. So I went up there and I was picking up properties for, $15,000, $20,000, little 2-1, 800 square foot rentals. I would go in, I would put a couple $1,000, do some tiles, change some vanities, and I was renting them out for $500, $600 a month. And then I did that for a year and I slowly built up. And then that's how I got into construction for real, because I would sit there in that apartment And my phone would ring all the time because, like, in Miami, people knew, like, they would hit up Kev, like, when they had a project. And my phone would ring and dudes would be like, yo, I just picked up this house. Can you help me do this? Can you do this kitchen? Hey, send your paint over here. Hey, where your roof at? And people was just calling me. And my wife said to me, she said, why you helping all these dudes do all this work and you ain't making no money? Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, you're right. And she said, why you don't do that? And I was like, damn, you right. So then I went online, I ordered all the books for the Florida General Contracting license. I started reading books and I said, that's it. I said, I'm gonna get my GC license. And I studied while we was there and I said, come on, let's go. Came back, got my GC license, started my business and took off.
Wow.
She's a good wife though.
Right? Yeah, she's solid. She's solid.
But see, that's why she's white. For those that's listening, that's watching this, is understanding that he had a rider.
Yeah,
right?
no, 100%.
Because someone would have been like,
yeah.
You go ahead, make your way to Charlotte. I'm gonna stay here in Florida.
No, she the real deal. That's why, like, to this day, if she want it, she got it. Ain't even no question. Like, people will look at the things that I do for her and how she live, and they're like, oh man, and they think, man, she got it good, but they don't know.
Backstory,
right? She was there when you lost it and helped you get it
we
back.
was literally sleeping on an air mattress, eating Bojangles chicken biscuits for breakfast and Donato's pizza for lunch.
Not the Bojangles.
Because it was crazy. Because when we went to Charlotte, I'm telling you, I left my car here. I left my Range Rover. The guy from the my mechanic would call me. He was like, "You gonna come get your truck?" I said, "Man, just keep it. Just sell it. And when you sell it, just put a little something in my account. You keep the rest for the inconvenience. I'm not coming back to Miami. I don't want the car." So I didn't have no car. I literally had no car in Charlotte. And this is before Uber and
I'm gonna say
this ain't none of that around. So we would have to walk. And so the only thing that was there was our apartment was in the South Park Mall. It was kind of like one of those like Midtown type things before that was cool. So they had the mall and they built these shops on the outside of the mall and they put apartments along the top. So we had one of those. So I would walk everywhere. And then, so I had no car. So Bojangles was across the street. So I'd go grab them Bojangles chicken biscuits as we ate for breakfast. We would hit Donato's for lunch and dinner. And then there was a Harris Teeter across the street. We'd get some food and make a Sunday dinner and that was it.
So you said that was in what, 2009 you said?
Yeah, that was 2009. How
long did it take you to bounce back?
Honestly, I came back in 2009 and it was crazy. I bounced back fast, to be honest with you. It was from the time that I came back to Miami, it might have been, I stayed at my old boy's house for maybe 6 months. Mm-hmm. And then it was like back home. I mean, it wasn't like it was before, actually, you know what I'm saying? But it was a good 6 month grind being back in Miami. And it was just, my focus was different. Because when you go through stuff like that, it really sharpens your vision if you're smart enough to see it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because you see all the people who are around you, even family. Yep. They be the first ones to flip the script on you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, you see people's true colors when things like that happen. So my vision was so clear. When I came back, I was focused. I was like, nah, this is what I'm doing. And then I started a construction company. When I started, it was so crazy. I was working, I had a night job. So I would work at a call center at night. And I would do construction during the day. I would do my projects and I would go to the call center at night. Mm. And a funny little story about the call center. So I would be in there, right? But everybody that was in there at night, because we worked our shift was like from 5 to like 12. And what it was a call center for magazine subscriptions. Okay. So we would just call people, hey, your Sports Illustrated's getting there, you want to renew, blah, blah, blah. Right? And so but it was none but hustlers in there. So it was the same thing. So there was this young lady used to sit in front of me. And every day she would come in and she would have a new idea. She'd be like, I'm telling you, this the wave right here. And we would sit there and everybody would be like, man, fella, shut up. Right, don't nobody want to hear that. So then one day she came in, she said, Kev, I got it. I said, what is it? She said, look at this right here. I said, what's that? She said, it's a waist trainer. I said, what is that? She said, I'm telling you, girls, put this on and make them look good. I said, man, fella, ain't nobody finna buy that. She said, I'm telling you, Kev, this finna blow.
Yeah.
That's prima donna.
Damn.
Pre used to sit in front of me in the call center. And her first set of waist training she gave to me, she was like, man, tell your girl put this on. Tell me what she think.
Damn.
And I was like, man, Nikita, man, go on, girl. Anybody listening to you with all that, man? But it was that mentality. It was just like being around those like-minded individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
You had no choice but to hustle.
See, I had the opposite experience. When I was working at my call center data entry place, they was telling me I was stupid. Because I was 09, I got into flipping bank-owned properties.
You know?
So I had a mentor here. He was teaching how to, get those properties from the bank. And I was telling people when they was just like, nah, that ain't it. Like, so you had a different experience than me, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell everybody, like, the biggest, the biggest issue is if you try to share a big dream with a small-minded person, it's the worst thing you can do. And that's why I was always around. You know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't let it get to me. But I'm just saying that's good that you had people that was hustling and it actually was like, yo, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, man, that place was crazy. To like look at the people, it was some people that are fairly big name now that were in that room. And I don't know how we all got to this one little place in Hialeah and why we was all there, but it was like a bunch of hustlers just trying to all figure it out. It was cool. What you was doing with the bank on stuff? Huh?
So what we was doing was we was finding and that was a good thing about 09. So when the crash happened, there's tons of, and it seems like that's gonna not exactly similar, but with COVID, everything is gonna be somewhat similar, right? So what we would do is we would contact realtors and agents, and then they would have a listing of all the foreclosures that people didn't buy at the auction. Then we just put an offer in, and then we would just have to double close on it. So because we couldn't assign the contract, with the way the state contract was set up. So that's what I would do. And man, I went through 26 deals, man. Had to back out every single one of them. Every single one of them. Like, I made a whole bunch of mistakes, but finally I made money. And that's how I got started in real estate. Wholesaling.
Yeah, when the first stuff I did in 09 was I started doing asset preservation.
Okay.
So when I set up my construction company, I still have my active real estate sales license, and then I have my GC license. So I went and contacted all the banks that I had knew from before, because now everywhere you looked on every corner, there was foreclosures, and it was just houses sitting empty. So then the banks was looking for people to board them up, clean them out, cut the grass, do BPOs.
Yeah.
So that's how I started in construction. That was the first thing I did, was I started doing asset preservation. And the same thing, my wife would go with me. I had my car. I got a weed eater. I used to put it in the back of my car. And I had a list of properties that I would go to every 2 weeks, weed eat the grass, take a picture, send it in. They send me $150. Then I would do BPOs. They were doing like $50, $75 on the BPOs. All you had to do was go on the MLS, find 2 or 3 like listings, send it to them, do that. And that's how I started. That's how I started the business. That's why I say it was like 6 months before I was back on. Because all I did was, while I was in Charlotte, I was like, okay, how can I do this? What can I do? What lane can I find? And so I started with the BPOs and the asset preservation stuff first. And then from there, got into real construction work.
So kind of looking after, so you went through the, things was good, kind of dipped a little bit, lost your friends, circle change, you come back up. How do you, once you make that comeback, how do you determine like the type people that you allow to come around you after seeing the people that left you when things was down?
I don't need friends, I need business partners. And that's the one thing I learned. I was like, look, if we not making no money, if we not doing nothing to better each other in some way, like, I'm good. Because I know when it all folds, I'm alone.
Right.
Like, I just learned that when it all goes down, I'm by myself. Yeah. So I'm happy being by myself all the way through. And I tell people it sounds crazy and it's sad for me to even say it, but I didn't become truly successful to what the world deems successful until I started knowing that I just had to do it on my own and say, I just got to get it out the mud. Like, I can't look for no help, no handout. I can't look for this one to help or this to do. I just got to do it. And once I decided that, hey, I just got to do it, and I figured it out, that's when I truly started to come back.
I got a question for you. It's kind of different, and we haven't really asked anybody this before, I think, on our episodes. But your money mindset. Obviously, you have a big cap from what I tell people. Like, when it comes to making money, everybody has a certain glass that they feel like they're worth. Right. So if you're worth $100,000, cool. You make $100,000. If you make over it and you're only $100,000 person, you end up blowing the money. Right. It's like a cup. When the water gets overfilled, boom, it's over. Obviously, you have been deemed for millions. How you get that mindset?
Books is big. I did read a lot of books. I read a lot of books during that time when I was out of town. I read a lot of books because I was in such a dark place personally and mentally. I read a lot of books to try to change my mind state because I was like, well, clearly I'm thinking wrong in some way. But also what gave me that mind state, to be honest with you, was like you said, you had a mentor. I had a really good mentor. Okay. And he became my mentor in that 04, 05 range because he was actually my broker. But he would tell me things that kind of stuck with me. And a lot of it I didn't realize until after. I didn't understand what he was saying. And then once I understood it, it all made sense. But he instilled in me the thought that you never want to be the richest guy on your street. Right? You never want to be the richest guy in your circle. Because if you're the one in your circle that everyone looks to, who do you look to? Who helps the helper? Right. Right? So you always got to be conscious of that. So that was one thing that always stuck in my mind. Because his thing to me was like, and I never understood it, like I said, till later. Because he'd be like, no, I want you to make money. I'm like, what you mean? He said, no, I need you to be rich. And I'm like, why? He said, because one day is going to come where I'm going to need 100,000. And I need to be able to call you and say, Kev, send me the 100 real quick. I got to do this deal. He's like, so I need you to be straight. And that's how you need to look at everybody else around you. And so that's when it taught to the mindset. That's what made my mindset get so much bigger because I knew that I wanted so much more. But then money for me, I never put happiness in the money. And that whole time during the recession, it taught me that like my happiness isn't within the money. For me, getting the money and doing the deals, it all became a game. It was like, if I could do a deal and make 100, all right, now I'm gonna make 200. If I can make 200, I can make 400. If I can make 400, I can make 800. And so it became a game. Gotcha. It became like it just keep going. And I never let the money fuel me. It just became that game. It was just the dollar value was just that. And so just my mind changed because it was like, I just got to keep going. I want more. Yeah. Because it's coming from where we come from. Like you always see on TV certain things, but you never really think it's possible. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh yeah, I seen cats doing that, but you can't really do that. But then once you start doing it, you're like, oh yeah, you could really do this. And then when you start changing your circle and you start seeing how other people are doing things, you're like, dang, well, I thought we was doing it when we was doing this. Yeah. These boys over here doing this. Oh man, I gotta elevate. I gotta go. Yeah. And that's what it turned to. So that's what it did for me. That's what gave me that mind state, was just that hunger to want to be so much better than I was the day before. Love it. Yeah.
Okay. So you got underground construction, you got real estate. What's next? What's next for Kevin Jennings? What do you see in the future?
Honestly, it's one thing I alluded to earlier too before I came on. Like for me now, what I'm really trying to do, what excites me is some of the stuff that some of the newer guys are doing, like yourselves and like some of the other brothers that are out there. Some of this technology stuff, taking it to that next level. Mm-hmm. Taking what's here and putting it here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Helping somebody else. Mm-hmm. You know, doing those other things, taking it to that next level. I know I can do for me, but what can I do for you? Right. Like how can we all help each other get to the next level? That's for me, I think that's what I'm on now.
So with that said, do you offer like a mentorship program, or
I never have?
Is that something you're interested in doing?
It's definitely something I've thought about. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like some of the things that I do are very niche. And I feel like there's a lot of lanes for a lot of people to make money. So I've recently been thinking a lot about doing mentorships or classes and training on like government contracting, for example. Mm-hmm. There's so much money people can make, like doing certain things because they need it. Yeah. Like, but it's just like a lot of people don't know that it exists.
Yeah. That's the thing.
And that's the thing with like a lot of stuff. Like there's so many ways. It's crazy, but like now more than ever, there's so many ways to make money. You just got to want to make the money. Yep. Like there's a million ways, and there's so many ways. When I got into contracting, and specifically in federal contracting, like they give out money for anything. Like the first things that I was doing, how I started, I was doing the BPOs like I talked about. And then when I got into federal stuff, I was running credit card transactions. I was doing basically like the drop shipping. I would reach out to an agency, saw what they needed, because people don't know, but like the federal government can't purchase direct unless someone is vendorized. So like say they need paper. They can't call Office Depot and say, hey, we need 2 pallets of paper if Office Depot is not a vendor. So they would call me and say, go to Office Depot, get us 2 pallets of paper and have it drop shipped here. Like I didn't know that game existed. And I was like, and I was sitting in my living room just getting the email, sending the email.
That's crazy.
So like that's one thing that I was like, man, I gotta, like there's certain things that are here that I'm like, man, I gotta get this out of here, because some people could be doing something and it's not that certain things are above me or I don't want to do it no more, but I'm just on a different level. Like there's different levels. So I have thought about doing the mentorships and training the classes. It's just figuring out how to do it. Because the problem with me, like I said, I'm the proverbial old head. Like,
holla at me, man. That's all I do.
I was about to say.
That's what I do.
I told that's why I'm here. Like, I those types of things, like for me, that's what excites me.
Yeah,
that's what gets me excited to get up. It's like, all right, how can we do something else? Like, how can we take this to the next level? What can I do? What can I do past this point? How can I show somebody else how to do something? How can we multiply that and take it out and make it bigger? How can we do certain things to grow? Because like I said, when you start moving in those different circles, you start seeing how other groups of society do things. And when I sold my business and I started working for that hedge fund, and I started seeing how them boys on Wall Street think and how they do things and how they move and how they shake and how they do what we call life hacks. That's not a life hack to them. That's their life. Like, you know, using their Amex for everything and then taking the points and going to fucking Tahiti. That's their life.
Right. We just not finding about
we
that.
just not figuring it out. But that's what they do.
Yeah.
So once I seen that, I was like, oh, they done messed up. They done let me see how they. So like now I live my life like how they live their life. People like, oh man, you used to doing all this. I'm like, nah, man. Because them boys, they don't spend their money.
Right. I tell them, though, that's the worst thing you can do is spend your money on a debit card.
They don't spend no. Like I tell people all the time, I show people like in my wallet right now, I don't have a debit card.
And we was always taught that.
We was always taught
I remember when I graduated from high school. All right, about to be 18. They gonna come at you with them credit cards. You better stay away.
Yeah.
But it's and that's the thing, is it goes back to, like you say, the mind state and the circle that you roll in.
Right.
We come from a place where the mind state is that big. And our circle is that big. So we're always taught, stay away from them credit cards. Don't do that. Only get a debit card. Only use your cash. If it's not in your bank account, you ain't got it. But that's the worst thing you could do. You know what I'm saying? And so, the mentorships, the classes, the things like that, all the different new age things. Like I talk to Vic all the time, like the Airbnbs, the Turos. Like I want to learn all of those things, because the knowledge that I have, the opportunities and the things that I'm exposed to, I want to see how I can take that and take it somewhere else.
Right.
How I can make money in different lanes. Like I know how I can make money in construction. I got that figured out. I know if all else fails, I can go get $1 over here.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, now what else can we do? Because for me, people are, like, I always talk to people about their why. Like, what's your why? Why do you do this? For me, my why is my kids. So like my dad taught me how to use my hands because his dad taught him how to use his hands. Well, now the world don't use their hands no more.
Right.
So I got to figure out what I'm going to teach my son to do, how he going to get money. Because I'm not going to teach him to go get a job for nobody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I got to teach him how to get money. So it's like, I got to learn now, okay, this is how the world's moving. How can I change things around? How can I maneuver things? How can I set up a class or a mentorship and teach people how to do the construction but still do it? And how do you bring people in on that? And how do we, scale that and take it to another level? There's so many different things that we can do, which is things that I learned when I was working for the hedge fund, like scaling. Like, I mean, they taught me how to scale a business. They taught me about acquisitions. Like, there's people out there that have millions of dollars that want to come and buy your company because you got 6 or 7 Airbnbs. Right. And what they're trying to do is set up Airbnbs in a strategic area. Yeah. So instead of them going and buying 5 properties, they'll buy your company so they can take your 5. Add it with this 5, add it with this, and now they got 30. Like, there's so many different things that we just don't know about.
Yep.
And those are the things that, for me, that excite me, that it's like, man, we got to make this, let's go. Like,
I think it's definitely time for you to do that because You know, I tell Brian and Vic all the time, like, I made a lot of money in real estate, but I made even more money teaching. Because, you know, you get to a cap of level where you can get to it with you and your company and staff and stuff. But when you can have 3,000 plus students all across the country and have results. I got people in Australia that have done deals in Detroit, people in New Zealand that's done deals in South Florida. So what I believe from what you've been, you know, telling me and stuff, that your industry of a lot of people not knowing, you have what we call as a blue ocean offer. It's meaning that you bring that to the marketplace and nobody else is doing that. You have no competition. You literally in the blue ocean. You can make millions of dollars. I got a guy that's in the trucking industry, good friend of mine. When he came out, there wasn't really nobody teaching trucking the way he was. He just made $10 million last year, just teaching. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely the next lane for you.
Yeah, I think it is. It's frustrating. Like, I love what I do, but the problem now, and we all talked about it earlier too, is like nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to really do. They just everybody wants to quick hurry up and go. So like now in construction, I got all this work that needs to get done. I can't find people to work. I'm physically working every day. And like my CPA gets on me. She's like, you can't work in your business and work on your business at the same time.
Facts.
Yeah.
If you're gonna work on your business and grow your business, you can't be in it. But I got my boots in my truck. I'm in the field every day because I can't find somebody to go do the work. And if I do, they're not gonna do it the way that I would want it done to turn that product over to a client. So I've been stressing myself literally for the last 6 months. I'm like, I can't keep doing this because it bleeds. Because what people don't understand about business that sometimes gets me when people do like courses and they do them the wrong way is sometimes they don't keep it real with them. Like in construction or in any business, you work on a margin. Whether it's your Airbnbs, whether it's your tours, whether it's construction, whether it's real estate, you're getting a margin. What people sometimes don't realize is if you want to make $1 million and you're working on a 20% margin, if you ain't got 800,000, it's gonna be real hard to make $1 million. So for me in construction, it's like my zero every month is 150,000. So if I ain't got 150,000 on the first, it's gonna be hard for me to get to that number that I need to get to at the end of the month. And when I gotta rely on, the character and the caliber of people I gotta rely on, and I'm putting 150,000 on the street on the first of the month every month, and I literally have to go pick people up. I had a guy last week went to jail like an hour before we were supposed to go to work. Now I'm literally like, they laugh at me on Instagram because I literally switch shirts. Like, I'm lying. Like, I be on Instagram. I'll literally wear like throughout the course of the week because I have uniforms for all my guys, right? I'll literally have 3 different shirts on, and one day I'm Harold, one day I'm Owen, one day I'm Victor. Whoever didn't show up that day, I've got the uniform on. I can't continue to. It's just, it doesn't make sense. So it's like, that's
the only thing I would say about this pandemic, man. I think that has made some people lazy.
I don't understand it. I would think, but maybe we think different. But for me, when I see a opening and I see an opportunity to make money, I'm like, I'm going to go get it. Now everybody's like, nah, I'm gonna chill. It's like, nah, it's money out here. Go get it. They don't want to go get it. I don't. I don't know.
They was getting it free sitting at home.
There was so much free money on the streets.
They was getting unemployment.
They was
PPPs. But then when they get cut off, see now the way I see it, I think it's gonna be an influx because you're not getting those same funds you was getting. You're not getting that $1,200 a month.
But what was they doing with the money?
Blowing it.
Louis.
I'm not gonna lie, my business tripled last year.
Which is it's like they're blowing them. I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's
Louis and Gucci used to be bare shelves. Like
what? Christian Dior and everything.
You know what I'm saying?
But then you ask some of them, how many of them actually own some LVMH?
Exactly. And I used to ask that question. I used to ask that question.
And you're like, man, I don't understand. Like, I get it. I was once there, but it's like, man, like that mentality is just.
Somebody said this too. They was like, us black people, like, first off, the stats show that our money doesn't even last in our hands. What? Not even over the end of the day. But somebody said that it was like, we're so conditioned to being down that when we finally get up, we got to show the whole world we up. That's why we go buy all the Christian Dior's and Louis and everything else, because we finally up. We so used to being down. We got to shine instead of like, yo, let's go make some money off this money so we can shine forever.
Yeah.
Nobody want to do that. I literally have saw people that have fell off. They was up, fall off, humbled. As soon as they get back up, they back in the strip club spending, back popping bottles. I'm like, bro, you just fell off. Chill, bro. Like, relax.
It's crazy to me. Like, I see people, even the ones that getting the free money, I'm like, what you doing with it? Like, you could flip that. You could do something. Like, you could set yourself up so then you straight.
Yep.
Why you just gonna blow it and then what?
Be right back.
You gonna wash that Gucci shirt 3 times and that's it. No more. Like, what is, like, I don't get it. Like, you gonna wear the red bottoms to the club twice and they ain't gonna be red no more. And now what? Now you can't afford to go get another pair because you going. You ain't got no more money.
That's it.
Now you look crazy because now you scared to put on some Chucks because everybody thought you was wearing red bottoms all summer. Right. Now you don't even want to go out the house. I just...
If you don't know what to do before you get it, you ain't gonna know what to do when you get it.
And that's why I say, like I said earlier, honestly, all jokes aside, like, people always think that money makes you happy. And I literally know some very, very, very wealthy people that are the most miserable individuals you will ever meet because they have no happiness. They know not what their happiness is. And they thought that money would make them happy. And it doesn't. And it's, I think that, that's what's happening now. It's sad. I don't know what's gonna happen in a year or two.
Yeah, I would say that I don't know about y'all. I mean, Brian's had $100,000 since he was 21, so it's a little different for Brian. You know what I'm saying?
Wrong with that.
But for me, I would say personally, I had a very struggle with, tying happiness to money. My happiness was tied to money for a very long time. It took me a lot of books and a lot of talk.
How long was it before that like switch for you?
I would say when I first started 2009, I'd probably say honestly about 2015. No, not 2020. About 2015. It took me so it took me that long to get out of that. Like to the point where I had times where I take 70,000. This year I took a $70,000 loss. I was fine. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it took to realize like, yo, real hustlers gonna bounce back.
Yeah,
that's why
you're gonna take a loss, but as long as you bounce back, it don't even matter.
That's why it sounds crazy, but for me, like I was never worried. I knew I was gonna be straight.
Yeah,
like I would have dudes call, man, what we gonna do? Why I can't? I'm like, yo, we're gonna be straight. No, man, I don't think you get it, man. We ain't gonna be straight. I'm like, bro, we're gonna be straight. I'm telling you, because real hustlers gonna bounce back. Like if you can get it, you can get it, and if you can get it, you can get it anywhere. And it's like, you just gotta get it. Like I don't know what the problem is, but it's some people they don't have that mentality.
Yeah, it's definitely a hustler's mentality. I just had a conversation earlier today. A lot of people saying I had to drop 7,000 on the AC unit today.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, it sucked. And I done bought 4 AC units in the past year and a half. So if you bought an AC unit, you know about how much money that is. So everybody like, well, damn, should I even buy a house and blah, blah, blah? Like, that's coming home ownership. Look, if you a hustler, you going to figure it out. That 7,000, I get that back.
You'll get it back.
I made that back next month.
Yeah.
I made more than that on Airbnb this month.
Right.
In September. And it was a slow month.
Take it a step further, like we're talking about, like with the life hacks, being a real hustler, you like, okay, that's $7,000 loss. I'm going to get that back. Because that's a business expense that's going to be taken right off the top.
Absolutely. That we need.
Right off the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, I had to spin it, but it's cool because we're going to get it right back. And you just got to, it's a mind state. Yeah. And I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people is changing their mind to understand and be like, oh, you know what? It's cool with certain things. I'm going to get it back. And having that confidence, because a lot of people, they don't have that confidence.
Yeah.
You got to, like, it's tough. You got to, every day we walk out the house, we got to have our head high, chest out. Because the world's looking at us to see, all right, what them brothers gonna do?
What they gonna do?
Because if we come out like, man, it's tough, then everybody around's like, oh, well.
Gonna panic. He panicking. Oh, shit, it's time to panic.
Big say he's struggling. Oh, man, we all screwed. So it's a confidence. And once you have that inside of you and that confidence, that mentality, you're like, man, we straight. We're going to make it.
Yeah.
We're going to get this money.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get it. It's going to happen. You got to put that energy out there.
Facts.
Yeah.
You got to put that energy out. I had another little kind of like mentor, but he was my age. And he was a real spiritual Orthodox Jew, right? So like heavy into that. And he would always tell me, he was like, Kevin, it's not your money. I'm like, what you talking about? He said, it's not your money, it's the world's money. He said, you're just a vessel. The money just flows through you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get caught up on the money. It's not yours.
Yeah.
And this dude had bread. And he's the same age as me. We were 24, 25. He had a $4 million house on Miami Beach.
Damn.
Wow.
At that age, he had 100 properties in Miami. This dude was making so much money. Quick story. The problem he had was he couldn't go pick up his rent. Because he was literally a 5'4", Orthodox Jew. And he had properties in Little Haiti, Liberty City, Overtown, but not like houses. He had buildings, 10, 15 unit buildings. This dude gave me 10 units because they wouldn't pay him. He said, Kevin, I can't go. I went over there. They told me if I come back, they'll kill me.
Wow.
I said, what you gonna do? He said, look, I'm gonna give them to you. I said, what you mean give them to me? He said, I'm gonna give you the buildings. They're yours. I'll sign them to you. He said, every month, just bring me a couple $1,000s and you keep the rest. He's like, if you can get it from them, you have it. And that's what he would tell you. He was like, I'm not worried about the money because it's not my money. He was like, it's the world's money. If that person needs it more than I need it, let them have it.
Wow.
And he gave me buildings because he literally couldn't go pick up rent. My wife would laugh. She was like, yo, what's up with this dude? She was like, he gonna give you the buildings? He gave me a building on the corner, if you know Miami, 79th Street and right at 95. He gave me the building on the corner of 79th Street, 2nd Ave, in like multi-million-dollar. He was like, this is yours. Just take it.
Wow.
Gave me another duplex around the corner. Couldn't do nothing with it. But he didn't care. Because his mentality was it wasn't his money.
That's dope. I mean, money, currency, I tell you, it's like a current of water and flow. It flows to you. Once you got that mindset of
just let it happen.
Just let it happen, man. It's gonna come back. Money is always printing.
Yeah.
It's always, and people they think of like lack of, and I'm like, yo, like think about if the money, like people be like, oh, there's no more money in the streets or whatever because of the pandemic. But where do you think the money went?
Yeah.
All it did is got transferred from somebody that has more value to the other. That money, that's all it is. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's never a lack of money. Money is always around. They print this shit every fucking day.
Every day.
You know, it's just about, I tell people, it's about the value you bring. It's not about how much you work an hour. It's about how much value you bring an hour. You bring a lot of value an hour, you can exchange and get money. That's all it is.
What's up? That's dope.
Simple, man. Man, Kev, man. It's been a lot of gems eaten.
Appreciate the info. Appreciate the stories.
Appreciate y'all. I appreciate what y'all doing for the culture and just what you guys trying to do for everybody and the platform you created to kind of get stuff out there. Because I think, like we talk about, there's so much opportunity out there. It's just a lot of times, people of our age and our culture, they just don't understand what's out there to them. So when they see people like you guys that look like them, that talk like them, that dress like them, doing it, I think that they can appreciate that. And if we could all help one person get to that next level, we'll be that better off in a few years. So I appreciate y'all for real.
1,000%. Well, if y'all enjoyed this episode, please make sure y'all, wherever you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, make sure you drop a comment rating, especially if you're on YouTube. All right. Like the video. Make sure you drop a comment. We're going to have all our social media handles as well in the show notes and in the description on YouTube. Make sure you follow Kev. Make sure you follow all of us. You should be following our page as well. And yeah, man, tag us in the Instagram. If you're watching and listening to this, tag and let us know that you're rocking with this episode because, we always love the feedback. But, man, I appreciate all of y'all that has been rocking with us. This, I don't know what episode is this, fella?
This is...
I don't know what episode this will be, but it's 12. We in 12 episodes.
It'll be 14.
14? Man. So listen, we appreciate y'all. Like we've been getting the feedback from y'all. We really appreciate it. We got more great guests coming up as well. So I'm your boy, I'm your host, one of your hosts, Chris Bruce, aka Detroit Mogul.
Your boy Brian Keys, aka BK609.
It's Vic Gurley, MVP Vic.
And we'll see y'all.
Days to help wash my pain